When Marissa Mayer became CEO of Yahoo, she implemented some questionable policies. For example, she only took 2 weeks maternity leave after delivering twins. She also built an in-house nursery in her office. As women, sometimes when we reach the top, do we become our greatest obstacles? Do we send the elevator for those at the bottom to come up, or do we just shove everyone down? I'm hoping at the end of this session, a seed will be planted whereby you can go back to your very organizations, communities, families, wherever your sphere of influence is, and that you can really make an impact. We are at the start of the fourth industrial revolution, the convergence of artificial intelligence, robotics, automation, big data, and Internet of Things. What makes this revolution like no other is the combination of wide-ranging technologies, the merging of these technologies, as well as disruption. When you hear the term artificial intelligence, what comes to mind? Robots. Yes. Well, most people get afraid. Because if you have seen movies like Terminator and robots taking over the world, but actually AI is already a part of our everyday lives, from Google search engines to virtual assistants as Alexa and Siri. What we have today is known as narrow AI. What researchers are aiming for is general AI. So whereas narrow AI will outperform us at the specific tasks, whether solving equations or playing chess, general AI will be able to outperform us humans at nearly every cognitive task. The benefits of AI and digital technology are wide-ranging. We cannot, as humans, process the amounts of data that comes to us. You are sitting on a landmine of data. And if you really understood that this can help you better understand your customers and better understand your employees. So the benefits is that it allows you to compact this data and get value from it. So companies that use data analytics, they are able to get 126% profit over their competitors. Say, for example, this cold and flu company, they took information from WebMD, that's the medical site, and they were able to focus their marketing efforts on regions that had the most cold and flu outbreak. And they were able to increase their profits by at least 22% in a 4-week period, and that's amazing. So now you have this there, and if you can really extract the value from it, you can better serve your customers. What does this mean for leaders? AI, is it changing the way we lead? I want you all to think of a quality of a boss you had. So just write it down quick. Think of a quality that really inspired you and how it changed your life. So I'll start. I'll give you my one story. So my first manager, I had a family emergency, and I came to him, and I'm just trying to explain. And before I can finish, he says, "Why aren't you out the door yet?" And then he says, "Go ahead, I'll cover for you." So I took my bag, my belongings, and left for the day. And he had my full support, just because he cared. Name a quality, you all can just give me what you think. Some quality that someone had that impacted you. Empathy. Honest. Respect. Generosity. Understanding. Trust. Compassion. Sorry? Listening. Yes, listening. That's going to be part of my discussion too as well. Yes, reliability. And this is where it comes to self-awareness. If you look at the qualities, just take a second to the qualities that you all just stated. I didn't hear intelligence. What about technical skills? the fact is that doesn't inspire people. And in the age of artificial intelligence, leaders' soft skills will continue, leaders' hard skills will continue to be surpassed by hard skills. Hard skills can be easily automated. What's going to make the difference is empathy, emotional intelligence, collaboration, negotiation, creativity. It's how do you connect with people? How do you build influence and trust? It's by those soft skills. So how do leaders change their approach in this age? It's going to take looking at yourself. It's going to take looking at your organization and the culture. And it's also going to take looking at your people. What do people want? The skill of self-awareness is basically the keystone of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence allows you to assess the emotions of yourself and others, to identify, control, and understand it. When was the last time you actually looked in the mirror? Did you like what you see? Did you look at the wrinkles or the weight gain? And speaking of that, I went to the airport, right? And I went to the airport and I got pulled across. And I'm looking at the scanner and it's showing that if I have some foreign object or something on me. So the immigration officer asked me, "Do you have an object on your hip?" I said, "No." She said, "Madam, have you had a hip replacement surgery?" I said, "No." I said, "It's just fat. I put on weight, okay?" So I had to be reminded of weight gain at the airport as well. But when I mean looking at yourself, it's about strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It's analyzing your strengths to know what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Do you get upset easily? Do you get angry when things don't go your way? I was speaking to one leader in a company, and he was so confident that his employees understood the values and the goals, and he was a good leader. But when I asked the employees, they said he was a really great micromanager. So where does the disconnect happen? Where does it happen? Because some leaders are not really being honest with themselves. So when you are honest, it allows you to work on the bad characteristics that you have and improve on them. Self-awareness also allows you to focus on your purpose. If I ask you, who are you? Why are you here? What are you meant to do? And most people don't know their purpose. And when you don't know your purpose, you are all over the place. For example, my purpose began in my early childhood. I was raised by my mother, a single parent, and with 6 children, and things were extremely hard. My mother didn't have an education herself, but because of the generosity of the church and people in my community, I was the first person in all my siblings, whether cousins, everyone, to at least attain a postgraduate degree. So my purpose stemmed from there. So I love to inspire and help people because I am a product of people giving back. So when you understand your purpose, it becomes easier for you to persist in the face of trials and troubles. When things don't go your way, what do you do? What happens? What happens to you? And I'm going to share this quickly. I wasn't going to share this, but I'm going to share this. Just before I'm in Trinidad, just before I go on my flight, someone emails me, "Bridget, I can't find your books." So I'm like, "What do you mean?" And the link is not working. So when I contacted my publisher, and they give me some excuse about, "Well, you're from Trinidad and Tobago, and we have decided, we don't do business with Trinidad and Tobago anymore." So they just deleted my books. What? Yes. So I am there just before, 5 minutes before I leave, and I'm so flustered. What do I do? So then I decide, you know what? I had the choice to stay and deal with it then or come here. That's why it's so important to know who you are and what you are doing. So I decided, you know what? I cannot deal with this at this point. I will deal with that when I get back. I can just get a new publisher. So I'm going to tell you, when life knocks you down, when things do not go your way, what do you do? When things are just kind of falling apart, you have to stay focused. You have to get up. Every single time you get knocked down, just keep getting back up. And it's all about perspective, because everybody is like, you're so calm. If my books get deleted and no one can find it, and I have a lot of emails now, because I have so much followers, like, where's your book? So I could have been flustered, I could have stayed back and deal with it. But when you have that focus, it will really help you. So I want to encourage you, whatever life, because I know we all go through certain things. You may just get a phone call one day, it's some shocking news. Try and get yourself together and stay focused. Whatever life throws at you, you will get through it. You'll be okay. You'll be fine. There's always a solution. There's always a solution to every problem. Culture. What is your organization culture like? Is it a caring one? Or do you look at employees like statistics on a graph? I was speaking to Jill, and she was diagnosed with cancer, and she was on an extended sick leave. And her manager would call and just cut to the chase. When are you coming back out to work? And she said she was heartbroken because she was dealing with this illness, and then it was like betrayal. She said all she had to ask was, how are you doing today? That's all. It was simple as that. But thankfully, the cancer is in remission, and she is back to work. But she says, I am not giving any extra. I am picking up my bag I'm going to work for 9, and at 5 p.m., I am picking up my bag and nothing else. No team building exercises, no family out day, no sports day, I'm not involved in that. And it all comes down, as Richard Branson says, train people well enough so they can stay, treat them well enough. Train people well enough so they can leave, treat them well enough so they don't want to. So it all comes down to how you train people, how you treat people. And it starts with training. It starts with selecting employees. Today we need employees who are agile, who can fit into our organization. But are we looking at having flatter organizations with less bureaucracy and virtual teams? Or do we just love employees to sit in the office so we can keep an eye on them? And sadly, I've been to 5 continents for the year, and most employees say that their managers are micromanagers. So in terms of that, they are keeping the flow of moving forward. To move forward, you have to let go. You have to let go at some point. When you look at culture, you are looking at how you can elevate your employees. Are you putting them in positions where they can utilize their skills and abilities and give them projects to grow? On one of my jobs in the corporate world, I was just about 2 weeks there in HR, and I was supposed to fire this employee. So I had a conversation with her, and I found out she was not in the position that she came for. Actually, they were short-staffed, and they put her in that other position, and she stayed there, and the training she had was not good, and the manager was always busy and looked annoyed, so she just was a mess. If you don't have a good foundation, you'll just be asking questions, not sure. So are your people in the right positions? Do you want them to grow? It's also looking at engagement. In these times, we have to continuously engage employees. So employees have great consumer experiences. They are on Amazon, Netflix, and they're getting individualized, personalized experience. Then they come to the office, say for training, and you just give them a big manual and say, sit down there in a corner, or look on with somebody to learn. You have to look at technologies today, whether virtual reality, mixed reality, and how you can incorporate that so employees can have that personalized experience. So learning isn't boring, learning and development. The same way you're excited about movies and these technologies, the same way the experience will be at work, whereby employees can share their information and the systems can improve to give them that experience. Reward and recognition. How do you reward and recognize your employees? I stood in the back of a reward and recognition program in a company, and the employees to the back, they were grumbling. It wasn't a motivating experience for them, because basically, it was the same employees were being rewarded, the same top performers, the top sales employee for the quarter, we knew already what it is. What about those who are improving? What about those who are trying? What about those who just give their best or just give support to others? It's always looking for opportunity where you can just make people feel appreciated and valued, and that is so much more important than everything. So sometimes we think we need celebrities to endorse our business, but it's really our employees that help with the branding. Because a bad review on a job site can mean it can affect your talent. You also need to be looking at how you deal with employees that are leaving. In today's environment, you will have to make hard choices. You will have to let go of employees. I've received so many emails on LinkedIn from people who said, like, okay, I just got a message, I'm no longer employed, I don't have a job. I get so many messages. In these turbulent times, this is how it's gonna happen. You're gonna have to make hard decisions. Organizations are downsizing with the implementation of more robots and AI technology. How do you treat that? At least give employees information early on. Your job is not permanent. It may be subject to change. It's easier for people when they have the information than just one day just telling someone. It's absolute shock and horror because your job is tied to your self-worth. So when you are dealing with such employees, what can you do? There's things you can do in place. Like I was speaking to John, and he said one day he was at his desk, and they told him he no longer has a job. And security came and escorted him building after working there for about 20 years. He has a mortgage, he has children in college. Could this have been done in a better way? What about offering your employees counseling? But not only that, what about interviewing and resume writing skills? What about financial planning? We are here to support you. This is a hard decision. I'm really sorry about it. I can't do anything about it. But I am here. Of course, they'll be upset. But I am here to support you. If you need a recommendation, whatever you need, I'm here. And I remember dealing with this with one employee at a point. And years after, she came back and said, thank you. She said, I was upset, I was mad, I told you off, whatever, but your words and your compassion really helped me, that, I will get something better, that it will all work out. It may seem like this is the end, but it's not the end. So that just little bit of, encouragement to give them in these times is so important, because your job is not stable. If you work for a company, your job is not stable, unless it's, in the sphere of the AI technology realm, but still nothing is certain now. So whenever you have to make the hard decisions, always try to add empathy. It's people you're dealing with and not robots, people with personal lives. So what do people want? What do people want? More than anything else, people want to be connected, valued, appreciated. Do you get that at work? Do you feel you're just a number, an algorithm or something? And that's it? Someone from Iraq contacted me on LinkedIn, and he said, how do I lead in situations of duress? He's from Iraq. I can't understand what he's going through. But I told them the one thing you can give people is hope. Hope is the one thing that keeps us believing that in spite of today's darkness, tomorrow's light will shine more brightly. It's the one thing that keeps us holding on. If you didn't have hope, you would not be here. So this is why I always say to inspire and always encourage your employees. I had an employee, and she would look fabulous. She would treat the office. The office was like a catwalk to her. She'd have her makeup well done. And after having conversations with her, I found out that she was very suicidal, actually, because her mother had cancer, and her father divorced the mother, and then her boyfriend was unfaithful to her. So she was picking up makeup, looking fabulous, fantastic, and she was just inside, she was just crumbling. If you could understand, people come to work. They look nice, they smile, but everybody's dealing with something. Either in life, you are going through a problem, coming out of one, or going into another one. Yes. If you could realize that your position as a leader is to be a lighthouse. The little things that you do count the most. I had an employee, well, her name was Vashti, and her mother and brother had died within a short period, and she was just a mess. But she was waiting on retirement because she couldn't leave before. She had all her bills and she couldn't leave. She wanted to take care of the other family members she had remaining. And every time I passed, sometimes she would be like this. She was in a daze. So I would just knock on her desk, Vashti, don't worry, it's a little while again, a little bit of days again, and you'll be out of here, you'll be fine. Until the day she finally came, and it was just such a happy time. So if we could really realize that we are there as a lighthouse, you have an amazing responsibility as a leader. These people that you are in charge of, you can inspire them or you can pull them down. You can make their lives miserable. Some things you cannot change. That's fine, but it all comes down to how you treat people. I was at the supermarket, and I met one of my former employees. And we chatted, and then she left. And then she came back, and she said, Bridget, I can still hear your voice in my head telling me don't give up. And for me, those were the best words, someone could tell me as being a leader. Because your leadership legacy is not in systems and processes. Who can tell the former CEO of a company? Who was the former CEO 2 years ago? Nobody knows, and nobody cares. So the impact that you're making is in the hearts and minds of people. And if you can do that, you can see the difference you have made. In my organizations, in my roles, that's all I try to do. And it just made a difference. For example, the other managers would come and say, if I had some activity, all my employees would come out. If I had beach cleanup, or we go into an orphanage, or anything that we're doing, they would all come out. They would even bring their family members too. It's simple. If you have my back, I have your back. If you show care and compassion, for example, someone calls, my child is sick. I'm not coming in. They have a meeting. Go ahead and see about that. Don't worry about the office. Keep me posted. And that's how we treat people. And it makes a huge difference. Sometimes people think it's the big things and we need to have this program and this engagement, but it's the kind word, the thoughtful gesture can really strengthen or break your relationships. So I just want you to think about that in your present roles, that you can really make a difference in somebody's lives. And the thing is, the person may not tell you at once, but you may know it later down in life. And what legacy do you want to leave behind? What do you want to create, just in financial systems and financial gains? There's more to life than that. The human touch. We must always remember that nothing can replace the human touch. And I believe companies that will be successful are those that, yes, implement technology, but still have the human touch. For example, I was in the airport, and they have all these automated kiosks to get your stuff and food. But I was so tired and I had a long wait. I would have waited in line because I didn't have nothing to do. And I would have liked to hear someone say, enjoy your food, have a nice flight. So it's still giving balance to all our activities. Yes, technology is here, it's gonna be implemented, our jobs, our life will be disrupted like never before. But it's also remembering what's most important. And at the heart of it is people. Although, yes, we focus on the numbers, but we also focus on people. So whatever you do, always remember that nothing can replace the human touch. In this age of technology, we need to be looking at ourselves. Firstly, what are the qualities that we possess? Do we listen? The 4 foundational skills of language learning are listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Although listening is the most important, we get no extensive training on that in school. The truth is most people do not listen, and we are so busy, so interconnected. When you look at leaders like BlackBerry, Kodak, and Nokia, their leaders didn't listen. They operated in a bubble. We are the industry leaders. No one can surpass us. And then they fell. So you need to be listening to the people around you. And when you listen, it helps you to grow. It helps you to really connect with people. If you don't listen, it shows you don't care. If someone is not listening to you, how do you feel? And if you can really make the effort, when you're speaking to someone, listen, digest, pause, reiterate, formulate, and then respond. I know it's a long process, but it's really, when you do it all the time, you really get accustomed, it becomes the norm. I was speaking, and I wrote an article on LinkedIn about that, and I was speaking to a friend, and I was hustling, packing and stuff, and he was like, Bridget, are you listening to me? And I was like, I need to take my own advice and listen. And it's something that you always have to work on, because whether your kids, your family members, always make that time for people. And this story, I always remember that my pastor said, he was on his way to a board meeting, and this gentleman came to speak with him, and he said, I'm going to be back for my board meeting, and I will speak to you then. So when he came back from the board meeting, he went to the address, and he saw a big tent. The man's mother came and said, he committed suicide. If he had only taken the moment to just listen, if your children, I'm going to tell you this, if your child comes to you, it could be how busy, a family member comes to you and said, I need to talk to you. Anytime somebody comes and says, I need to talk to you, just listen, because you never know the consequences of where it will lead to. And he said that's something he always regrets. Because in the midst of providing the service, he's forgetting the most important thing is the people. In the midst of leading and building organizations, you need to always keep your eyes on the fact that the most important thing is people. So it's about listening, it's about connecting, it's about having the qualities to be the leader your people needs you to be. It's also looking at your company. How can you improve your company? It's just not ping-pong tables and then you're stabbing people in the back, you know. It's just being authentic. And if you really are authentic and you care about people, they will care about you. Loyalty is a two-way street. You cannot purchase it or buy it, but you can certainly nurture and foster it. And lastly, it's always looking at the people. What do people want? And if you can really focus on that, you will be able to make an impact in your own organization, because nothing can replace the human touch. Thank you.